Today I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistake that Asian American students and young professionals make in their career starting out. And I'm doing this video because I have a lot of Asian American followers who read my blog and watch my videos, and they have standard cultural behaviors. Now, of course, some are breaking out of it, but there are some that definitely still follow along the lines that their parents want, sometimes to their detriment. And I want to tell you one of the biggest mistakes that they make. I see it all the time, and that is choosing a company brand to work for based off prestige over the actual joy and love of the work, the team, the culture, and the product. I see this all the time. If someone doesn't become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, they tend to work for one of these big tech companies. It's one of those secondary values that just keep popping up all the time. I see people say, "Oh yeah, I got into Apple," and they're so excited. They got into Google, they got into Facebook, they got into whatever else, Amazon. And these are big things that, sometimes their parents brag about or look for, or they themselves look for because they know it's reliable, they know it's this big thing, and it's prestigious, supposedly. But here's the thing. This has been going on for like 10 plus years, and the issue is the prestige of these companies. First off, are they really that great anymore? Now these companies are so massive that they employ tens of thousands of people. So just because you work there doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a high paid job. You could be, an entry level coordinator and stay there for 5 years. There's people I know who have went to Ivy League schools, and just because they went to Ivy League schools, they're not so much doing well, being paid well, or doing something that they enjoy. Some of them are still stuck in very basic level, entry level capabilities, relying on their reputation and then searching prestige. Also, a lot of these big companies, it's not just that you're entry level or like working a janitor job or anything like that, but also a lot of them are very stressful. Sometimes the work can be boring, and the pay is not as good as you think. So really, when you put those all together, it doesn't seem like a great thing. Obviously, there's exceptions, like if you're working at Google and you're mid-senior level, that's a different story. But it really just comes down to, are you passionate about it? Because if you're not happy and you're not ready to wake up on Monday tap dancing to work and you're dreading it, then really, is that much different from someone who's working at a company, a small, mid-sized company that's maybe growing rapidly, that no one's ever heard of, but you love the work and you're gaining a lot more experience or skills? That could be much better in the long run. Because at the end of the day, what are you all doing this for? You may be sacrificing years of distaste for your job to get that 10 seconds of approval from some stranger, from some family member, from some friend that may not even be your friend anymore, or some acquaintance in high school that you didn't really care about, who you just met after 5 years, and he was cool in school and you weren't, and now you don't really care about him, but now you want to impress him with your job. Like, that's really just not worth it, in my opinion. And so I think some people figure this out on their own. I know people who went that route, and then they just hated their job at Amazon, or it was more of like a overnight packaging job, and they just hated it, and then they ended up quitting it and finding another path. But I think it's still something that's really overlooked. And yes, there is some level of power to it. It can definitely be used as a stepping stone or something to throw on the resume if you want. There's definitely people who a lot of hiring managers who look for stuff like that. They want to see, your experience as some recognizable big name consumer brand. And so if that's your goal, maybe you should do it just to get that in to your resume for some temporary thing. But also, in the long run, you want to be doing work you enjoy. So make sure you don't end up falling into your comfort zone and then just doing stuff that you feel about. Not bad, but not great about either. Because before you know it, you'll blink and half of your life will already be gone. Maybe even 75%, and you're old and you're like, what the heck just happened? and you start to regret where you've been. So there you have it. I think it's a simple thing, but really important. Ultimately, you really want to go into yourself and ask, what do you really want out of life? And sometimes the answer is as simple as passion. Maybe it's income too. Maybe it's impacting others. And when you cross-reference that to whatever else you're looking at, whether that's a big brand or not, whether maybe it's just something else around that framework. Maybe it's a certain lifestyle or certain work experience or whatever. If that doesn't fit, it could be beneficial to follow your heart rather than what all the other Asian Americans are doing. So food for thought. Hopefully you found it valuable, and I'm definitely not the first to tell you about this. I didn't invent this. I definitely noticed it on my own through my own study of personal development. But there's plenty of people in the tech world who would tell you the same thing because they learned the hard way themselves. So there you have it. Like, subscribe, comment.